Great. So welcome, Samantha Brooks, to
Thank you.
Dublin Comic Con. So really appreciate you joining us today. We're here in the Pulse College room. Pulse is a games and animation college, and our main focus is to just discuss different creators in different fields. We've had so far this morning game developers, voiceover artists, storyboard artists, animators, comic book artists, but you're bringing a unique facet now to the conversation because you are a creator for TV, but an original series, and it's also a web series as well, what you're developing. So you are what we see as a new wave of creators, because you see it every day in the news. Everything is the major streamers or the TV channels. It's all kind of gone a bit of the way of the dinosaur, and now the next generation are coming in to make their own content, and it's now being more accessible, particularly with YouTube. So I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about High Functioning, your new series. So you just recently completed a successful campaign to fund this series, and I suppose what was the inspiration behind this, and how have you found the experience so far?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for calling me the new wave of anything. That's really makes me feel young and innovative. High Functioning is a comedy series. It's a 6-part web series. Each episode runs about 15 minutes, and it's about a young woman who's loosely based on myself, who lives with invisible chronic pain, which is something that I also live with, trying to navigate young adulthood, family drama, and relationships and friendship, while looking quote unquote normal, but struggling with something invisible. I was really inspired to make this series because I wanted to make something that I wish that I had had growing up. A lot of times when we see disability representation in the media, it's something where the character has a visible disability or a difference. They're usually represented as being a wise, sage-like character, usually one that benefits the protagonist, or as I would call it, like the manic pixie sick girl character. And they're really more of just a prop in an able-bodied person's experience. So because in my own life, I am a fully realized 3-dimensional person who is not always dealing with the pain that I live with in a perfect way. And I struggle with the anger and the frustration and not always eating the way I'm supposed to or following the doctor's orders. I wanted to tell a story about someone like me and do it through a very silly, a little like racy comedy, because I use humor to cope with things in my own life, and I know that that helps other people as well.
Yeah, no, definitely with an Irish audience, you have us as soon as it's like coping with humor. That's us down to it.
Yeah.
But it's and the fact that you're drawing from your own experience as well, that must be like, I'm thinking of elements of I know the Goldbergs TV show is kind of like one, and there's other series that element of, we're drawn from personal experience into it. So some of the stories that we'll see unfold, is there a mixture between like very close to something that might have happened, or is it just, and then balanced against, well, this never happened, this would never happen, but it just works for the comedy timing? So is it kind of balance between the two?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I come from an entertainment family. The character Daphne that I play comes from an entertainment family, and there's a lot of drama and sabotage and fighting. And I have to say, of course, on the record, like, you'll see some things happening and it's not based on my true experiences. I would say everything that happens has either happened to someone in my life in feeling and in dynamic, but it's not just a mirror image of that in the show. Although with a lot of the medical scenes, I had so much material to work with from my own life that one of the challenges that I took on in writing a scene that happens in the 2nd episode where Daphne goes to her doctor is that entire scene is all true things that have been said to me. So I went through a list of every terrible thing a dismissive doctor has said to me and created this amalgamation of doctors who's this one very humorless woman, and had her say everything. And I've even been debating, since we haven't shot it yet, putting a little asterisk at the bottom and saying, giving a writing credit to all of my doctors over the years for contributing. I even recently had an experience with a doctor just a week and a half ago, and I've just become so jaded that I feel like I can say anything to people in the medical world. And as I walked out of the office, I said, I'm going to go home and write a scene about this.
That's amazing. There'll be many doctors that's tuning in now to watch the openings.
I hope so. Yeah.
It's going to be like the meme, you know, with Leo's pointing at the screen. Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. Sometimes you have experiences that people don't even believe that could possibly be true, because it's just so infuriating or dismissive or whatever it is. So I want to give credit where it's due.
And you made a really good point that actually mirrored one of our other speakers today. We had Jess Nestling, who's an actress based over in the UK, and she's also writing for theatre at the moment. And we were just saying, like, was there something in particular she that she looks for in a writing of a character? And she raised an interesting point about whenever it's a female or woman character that appears in the story, they're always described as strong. And it said, and that would be it. That would be kind of like the beginning, middle, and end of that characterization. And as you were saying, being like fully 3D faceted person and trying to imbue that into the character, that's great to hear. And I suppose when it comes into to flesh out the characters, are there any inspirations that you've taken from other shows? Because like as we're a creator, as creatives, we look towards what inspires and interests us. Was there anything like and not speaking for you, but maybe something like, I don't know, Scrubs or something along those lines? This comes to mind as a comedy drama. But is there anything there that you look to, or any creator at the moment, like a showrunner, a TV creator that you look towards as well, or that you've been following with interest as well as you go on your own journey with this show?
I think the biggest one would be Phoebe Waller-Bridge in Fleabag, because I love that show so much, and I love unlikable female characters, and how we can see a character like Fleabag be so unlikable and make mistakes over and over, and then still root for her at the end of the day and love her so much and want her to be happy, even seeing how she's hurt other people or how she keeps making mistakes. So a show like that, I would say the series Girls on HBO has been inspirational. And as we've been location scouting and looking at, because I'm from New York, Girls takes place in New York, and that's where we're shooting as well. Just seeing certain areas of the city that I could imagine being part of Girls. Those characters are also really unlikable, but it's a really fun show, and the dialogue is great, and there's a lot there, even though it's kind of Seinfeld in the way that nothing really happens, but it's such a great show. And then I also think in terms of just the comedy that I grew up loving, Tina Fey and Robert Carlock are really inspirational to me. I love 30 Rock. I think it's just the greatest comedy ever. And I am a big believer in being really stupid when you're writing comedy, and just overplaying the joke, taking it as far as you want, being really absurd with it. So I love that show. And I think a lot of jokes in here, hopefully, could never measure up, but I definitely take inspiration from that humor. I like to keep it really quick and snappy. And then of course, Succession is my favorite. It's also a comedy, but more of a drama. And I actually wanted to write a web series because I was watching Succession, and I felt like I need to do television and make that accessible for me and my friends to make our own show. And definitely with the way Succession uses subtext, and will have these back and forth ensemble scenes where you know exactly what everyone's thinking, but no one can quite say it. That comes through in moments with Daphne's tense relationship with her mom, or when she's trying to get what she wants and she can't just come right out and say it.
Oh, that's amazing. And what you mentioned as well with Fleabag being an inspiration, I believe that began life as a stage show for us, like a play.
Yes.
Would you have any interest then with high functioning? You're going to begin with 15 minutes. Would it be thoughts that you might diversify into like a longer form story? Like perhaps do you envision this might become full episodic, or perhaps a feature, or maybe adapting it into other performances like theatre? Do you think there's a potential for that, or do you have other projects perhaps you're tying around with for potential development in those fields in the future?
Yeah, I definitely have plans for this to expand. I would say with this, probably it would work best as a 30-minute or hour-long comedy. The arc of this is pretty short because I had to both fit a full arc of a one episode into 15 minutes and then fit a whole season arc, which is, there's a lot of cutting and changing things and squeezing it. So I would love to have the time to really expand on it. And I think there's so many things that we haven't explored in the show yet. I tried to do like a highlights reel of my life and in the best and worst moments, but I think they're for example, we were talking about what it would be like introducing a character who has a visible disability. How would that, a friendship between Daphne and a person who has a visible disability, how would that work? So I think there are just lots of ways to expand on it and keep it going. I do have other projects. I think it's always important, and I've learned this year through pitching this show and pitching other projects, to have many projects, because it's like having many children and you can't worry about all of them at once. So I'm working on an animated series with one of my best friends and my writing partner, which is also a quarter-hour show that we've been pitching, and I'm also a fiction writer, so I'm trying to get that out there. But I would definitely love to expand high functioning into something much bigger.
Yeah, as a concept, it seems so like versatile that it would lend itself well to adaptation just from the writings. So yeah, so we actually have a couple of questions sent into us already that I'm just going to go through. So this is, we couldn't organize a mic to go around, but we managed to get the old school pen and paper. I don't even know who wrote this. I hope it's a doctor because it's scribbled here. But bear with me. But the first one was someone here's asking about Seed and Spark. I think that's the
Yes.
funding platform. So you crowdfunded
Yes.
high functioning. So I think so. This is coming from someone who themselves are interested in kind of crowdfunding their own features, but they weren't familiar with Seed and Spark. So could you say just how you came across the platform and what your experience with it so far? Is it different? So is it similar or different to Kickstarter? Is there
It's different. I haven't used any other platform because this is my first experience crowdfunding, and I was made aware of it by a friend who's a producer who uses it for a lot of her projects. The thing with Seed and Spark that I would say is that you need to be approved a few times. So if you make changes that are not approved, you might not be able to put your fundraiser up on the platform. But it's been a good experience crowdfunding. In general, when crowdfunding, something that I learned from a writer director that I'm friends with was that when you do incentives, which are what you offer in exchange for donations, sometimes that could be a shout out on social media or merchandise, just a physical object. It's great to offer something and promise a physical object, but then you have to actually mail all of them out and have merchandise made. So one of the big takeaways is to make sure that you have incentives that you can deliver on in a timely way, because it's great when people start buying them, but then you have to make sure you have everything in good condition, you're sending everything out. And also I would recommend having a really good video. My friend Carl edited my Seed and Spark video, and he put all these little animated things in there, and we tried to make it reflect the project itself. So I felt like it was just as important to make the video funny and reflect the humor in the show, so people really get a sense of what they're donating to.
No, that's fantastic. And thanks so much for that question as well.
Thank you.
The second one is to do with the writing of the show. Someone was just wondering if you made a writer's room or had a show Bible when you went about producing it. So what was it like when you were developing the concept? I guess it's a very personal project yourself, so I imagine a lot of the writing came from you, but I'd be curious myself about the show Bible kind of approach. Like, was there kind of a master file or a story arc that you wrote perhaps to refer to?
Yeah, there is a Bible. The Bible came after outlining it and knowing everything, and the Bible is more for pitching, and I've been using it to get people's interest in the project. So if I'm trying to get a certain actor, I'll send them the Bible, and it just is a little introduction to it. But it really started in the Notes app on my phone, just individual jokes that I had for years, for like stand-up sets that never were, and things my friends had said that I thought were funny. And then once I landed on, this is the character, it's about chronic illness, it's about a girl and her mom who's an actress, and they're going to be working together in this play. Then I just started thinking about, I think really just I would be walking around or in the shower, and then moments would come in and I'd write them down. And or there's a comedy parody band called the Dung Beatles. That's a poop themed cover band of the Beatles that one of my best friends, Carl, invented. And I was like, well, we have to have the Dung Beatles. So I'll write his character as Paul McCartney of the Dung Beatles. And
That's a great name. That's excellent.
I named, he wrote the songs of the Dung Beatles. I did name all of the Dung Beatles, and I'm really proud of that. So that was important to me. Okay, we have to have the Dung Beatles. We have to have a concert. What if my character has to play Porta John Lennon in the Dung Beatles because nobody else can do it? But how is that connected to her chronic illness? So every episode is like, how is everything connected to chronic pain, and what is she learning each time? And then I think the best way the writing came to be, and it's my favorite piece of writing advice that I tell everyone, is that I would just think, what's the scariest or the worst thing I could say, the thing that would make people really uncomfortable, and then do that, and then take it even further. So I started with just a huge outline, really starting with, in television, like a beat sheet, which is just, this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then putting underneath a character and a joke until it sort of became what it is now. And it just has kept evolving, and I think will evolve up until we're improvising day of.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And thanks again for that question. The follow-up question to that one, I think you might have already touched upon. It was just about writing for comedy itself. Someone's like, how do you know if a joke lands or not? So what's your process? If you make a joke, do you try it among friends or family? Or do you take it to like a comedy store, see what lands? How do you workshop that?
I usually laugh first. I think, well, I don't do stand-up. I don't go out much, but I usually get like a little sensation in my body, which is kind of hard to describe. I get like a little tingle, and I'm like, okay, I think that could work. And then I will ask people that I think are funny and who people I really respect. So my dad, my best friends, and I'll just kind of say, what do you think of this? But at the same time, like, I think if you think it's funny and you really believe in it, and nobody else that you're talking to seems to get it, I still think there's value in that, because somebody will find it funny. And I would also say, just have a reading, getting your friends together and reading through. It's fun just to hang out with your friends and to get to hear it out loud. And I've been doing a lot of auditions and callbacks recently, and have learned a lot about what might need to be cut or what to change, just based on reading with other people.
Awesome. And thanks again for that. Another one coming in here now. Oh, someone wants to know if they can find somewhere to subscribe now, so they're ready for when episodes come out. So is the YouTube channel live already for people to subscribe to?
It is. The YouTube channel is under my name, which is Samantha Brooks. It has the Seed and Spark video for high functioning, and it has an interview that I did with my grandfather on the channel, and that will be where high functioning will live. I think it's linked in my Instagram, which is salmon like the fish, THA Brooks, like salmon the Brooks. But yeah, that would be really nice if anyone wants to subscribe. That's where everything related to the show will live.
Excellent. I'll make sure what we're going to do is this panel here is going to be recorded. In fact, it's recording now, and we'll download it from the cloud and upload it on one of our YouTube channels then, and we'll link everything in when we send it out as well. So awesome. And then we've got a technical question that came in. Someone's just wondering about like the equipment that you're using to film this on the camera. So I don't know, do you cover the techie side of it?
Yeah, I know all about that stuff. Well, we're not sure which camera we're using at the moment. That's actually something my biggest thing I have to do right now. So you'll have to ask my DP at some point, hopefully in the next like 4 days, because we got to get on this, Tyler. But yeah, I mean, my kind of concern with this project is about the writing and the performance. So I'm just trying to surround myself with people who know more about that than I do. But I think this could probably be shot on an iPhone, and I personally would be happy with it. So
the quality on those are insane at this stage. Like, I don't think a man would even, like, I know this is going to be like heresy for many of you here, and no one's scowling.
I'm glad I can't see anyone's faces right now. I don't want to know.
Yeah, they'll come gunning for me.
But we have a great crew. We have it's not a huge crew, but my DP is very experienced, and I'm lucky to have everyone can show me the way.
And how did you get to know everyone actually onto the team? Did you are they all just like friends and colleagues and such? Or did you cast out for the, like, open for interviews and such for the positions?
I went to NYU, New York University, and met a lot of my collaborators there, and then met some more of my crew through those friends. So I know almost everyone from class or through friends from before, and that's the great thing. I didn't even go to Tisch, which is the more film or like theater program. I went to Gallatin, which is actually the School of Individualized Study, but I took a lot of film production and acting classes through the other school, and that's how I met a bunch of my friends who are now working on this project. And also because we're a small crew and we're all friends, people are taking on multiple roles. My editor is also playing one of the leads in the show, and will also just be like there to grip on set during the day. One of my best friends is doing everything and also is going to be credited as my personal assistant, because I think that's funny. And then everyone else I know will be extras at the Dung Beatles concert, which will be great to get up on stage and have to sing the songs in front of them, or extras in the Halloween party scene. So everyone's been really generous with their time and support.
That's amazing. I'll just give you fair warning, the PR people from the con have disappeared to take the picture. So actually, usually we photograph the guests live on the table, but we have you like the Grand Wizard of Oz. So, so you're having your picture taken, I believe, at the moment. So I give you fair warning now.
Okay. I'll post.
Are we all good? Is it a snap? I think it's good. I think we got it. Did we?
Okay. Don't show me. I don't want to see it.
Don't want to see it. Oh, he was coming over to show.
No, come over. I want to see it.
Come over.
I want to see.
Go on, hold up to the camera. Inception. Wow.
Oh, thank you so much. What's your name?
Andrew.
Oh, and okay, that's a name I can pronounce.
Hey. Listen, you're going to lose all that goodwill by wearing green now.
No, I'm willing to learn.
I think we're almost wrapping up everything here now. And thank you so much actually for mentioning that last point about NYU as well, because one of the questions I've been asking everyone is about, we have like an education team that's been running through. So I suppose what's great is what you mentioned, that you studied at third level, you went to college for this, but it's also, I think the college experience isn't just about the grades. Like you just pointed out there, you've met like-minded individuals, you met friends who now are collaborators with you. So would you say then, definitely, if you were to do it all over again, if you were to make the endorsement for like study, do you think it's definitely would be, is it different strokes for different folks that, maybe some don't need to go down the education route? Or do you think if you're undecided in a college education, do you feel was a positive, for you and helping you kickstart your career?
I think it was very helpful for me personally. I wouldn't tell someone that they have to do one or the other. And I think you learn the most through experience, at least with film production. So I love NYU. I'm like annoyingly spirited about that school, but I think being in class where you have to collaborate with other people is the best way to learn how to do something like this. Just also taking on different roles, like running sound or DPing, or when you have to, even if you're not a writer, having to write your own film and shoot it is fun. And then you have to learn how to be scrappy and resourceful and just make it happen. And you can make something great in your living room. And that's a lot of times what we end up doing in those classes. Because you get 2 days to go shoot your film, and then you have to bring it in on Monday.
Yeah, it's called homework, isn't it? Oh goodness. No, listen, that's been fantastic, and thank you so much going through all those questions as well. I think we're just coming up close to like the 30-minute mark now. Is there anything else that you would like to cover, promote, anything, any final words? God, that sounds grim.
Any last words? I don't know. I just really like Ireland and Irish people, and so I'm very happy to be here, and I'd like to come visit you guys soon.
Yeah, hopefully I'll go.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, but hopefully, going according to plan, we'll see a FutureCon in person, and maybe we even arrange a screening. That would be
so
great.
Cool.
And hopefully we can connect again and do maybe with some of the even for the tech questions that will come, maybe like the DP, or get more of the team together and do a roundtable discussion when it gets closer to the release. But yeah, so definitely we need to touch base again soon. So listen, I just want to thank you again, and hope best of luck, and we all look forward to High Functioning, which we can follow now on YouTube. You can subscribe in advance on the Samantha Brooks channel, and they can also find you as Salmon TH Brooks on Instagram as well.
Something like that. Yeah, it's on Instagram, and High Functioning series is also on Instagram.
Fantastic.
They're all linked together somehow. Yeah.
Great. So I'll make sure this recording goes out in a couple of weeks. Do not expect high production editing values on this one, I'm afraid. But
I'll be really upset if this isn't perfect.
Oh, then you. Listen, thanks again.
Never coming to Ireland ever.
Oh no. Okay. Thanks again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.